Hi everyone, it's Wanda with the Armchair Cat Advocate, and I just looked up the poll for the Celebri-kitty, the Celebri-kitty poll between the the election between Abra and Fury. And it looks like right now it's 50-50. So let me just double check and see if it is. Because if it is, I have a proposal for everybody. Let me move back over here. Because regardless, of who wins tomorrow, okay, Abra is still going to be, just so, because I'm Mark, I don't care if this upsets you or not, but Abra won fair and square, and that original contest was for the black and white cats. You know, who's the favorite. And, you know, Abra is more black. She has a little bit of white on her chest. Like, you know, she was trying to be a tuxedo. It just didn't quite go her way. So she ended up primarily black. You know, it's just like Jack. Jack's very much more, and Rogue's the same way. So, you know, she's won, as far as I'm concerned. She won because it was National Black Cat Day. So she won for the black cats, you know, and also for the Celebri-kitty for the colony, because she's indoor outdoor. She's not strictly indoor. Fury is strictly indoor, except when he goes out, but he goes out on a harness. So, you know, she did win that one. This is, you know, we're going to see what happens here. But right now, I believe it's neck to neck. And I think, let's see here. Let's see, because I just checked it a couple of minutes ago. I just went outside. Here we go. So right now, as you can see, get this focus. I got a freaking glare on there. But if you can see that, yeah, I think you can kind of see it there if I move it. So it's 50-50. So it's 50-50. Team Abra and Team Fury, 50-50. So here's what I want the community to do. So you watch this video, comment below. Comment below if you want to call it a tie or if you want to see it through. Because we can call it a tie right now. We can say that they're both equally beloved as Celebri-kitties, which personally I think they are. And despite what Mark says and what Mark has been telling everyone, I am not rigging this election. I didn't even vote. I did not vote because it's conflict of interest for me to vote. I'm not voting, you know, and I wouldn't know who to vote for anyway. Seriously. You know, the first one, I would have voted for the possum because I want to remain neutral here. Despite what Mark tells everybody, Fury is not my favorite, okay? I don't have a favorite. This is how I feel about my cats. I don't have favorites. I have because each one has a different quality. It's just like my friends. There's friends that, you know, while it may be like, that's the person that I hang out with and I enjoy doing this activity with, or this is a person that I enjoy doing that kind of activity with. It's not like, because, for example, my friend Susan, I go over every holiday, but I'm not going to say that she's my favorite friend because I go over every holiday and, you know, and spend time with her and her family. And eat at her place, you know, because my other friend Tiana, although we don't talk a whole lot, especially now with my car not functioning and I can't get up to see her like I was able to before. So, you know, we don't talk as much as Susan and I do, but I'm not picking favorites here. I'm not going to say that Susan is my favorite and Tiana isn't my favorite. Tiana has her own qualities. Tiana has her own, I mean, I've known her a long time. I've known Susan not as long, but I've known her for wow, it's been about 5-6 years, so probably longer than that, I think. So I've known her. Tiana, we've been like 20 years we've known each other. So it's that kind of thing. They all have a special place in my heart, all of these cats. I admire each of them for their different qualities and their quirks and their behaviors and the cute little things that they do. And yeah, Fury and Rogue and Nif are my emotional support cats. I love Nif because Nif is just silly. I mean, you've seen Nif, you've seen his silliness. He's my little silly babby. He's like wow 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 wow. He'll walk around the apartment talking to himself. He'll just suddenly get into mind, just like popcorn in the air. He's funny. Fury, he's like Mr. Fluffy Butt. He loves to be held. He's a big baby. Rogue, he's my buddy. I mean, he was the original one. I have, each one of them has qualities that I admire. I couldn't just pick one. I couldn't. I had to go through that with, I was asked to do that when I had to surrender my dogs. And I told the person that said that, he said, well, maybe you could just keep one or two. I'm like, so you're asking me to do like a Sophie's Choice. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go look at the movie Sophie's Choice. I'm going to warn you ahead of time. Have tissues because it's sad. Very old movie with Meryl Streep. I believe it was Meryl. Was it Meryl Streep? Or I think it was Meryl Streep. So, what Mark is saying. No, Mark. No. And I'm not thinking up ways to rig the election so Fury wins. No. But, let me know in the comments below. I mean, we'll continue until I will run the poll until midnight Eastern time. So whatever time that is in every other place, as long as, it's at 12 at midnight, I will look at the poll and then we'll decide who the winner is. So you have, wherever you are in your respective parts of the state or the country of the United States or in other countries, you have until 12 a.m. Eastern time. So, I like this. I think this would be a good place to stop because they're both perfect. They're both great. They're both great ambassadors for colony cats and rescue cats and former colony cat. I think they're both good ambassadors and they're good representation of just how, like, Fury, well, both of them were born outside. Abra and Tora are more calm than Nif and Nif, Masu, and Zuki. They act like little feral cats. And they've been in since, all three of them had a rough start. The Masu and Zuki didn't come in until 6 months, they were about 6 months old when I brought them in. And Nif had gone to a horrible rescue and was there for a month, and I think that really damaged him. I think that really caused a lot of emotional damage to him. And so when I got him back, he was very anxious, hyper little kitty. But, they're both like, they hear a noise, they're under the bed. And Tor and Abra are like, huh, what was that? So they all have their quirks and their little cute little things that they do. So I can't pick a favorite. I can't. I mean, people do ask me that if I have a favorite. Do I have a favorite? And the answer is no, I don't. I have ones that I have ones that touch my heart in different ways, and I admire different things about their personalities, but a favorite, like one that I would pick over all the rest, no, I don't. I mean, I have some that are definitely going to be foster fails, or, you know, got like Moosh and Yum, they'll probably never leave. You know, as long as I can keep them. I mean, they'll probably, if I can transition them to be like Abra and Tor, where they can go in and out, they'll stay with me, because I have a special connection with them. You know, Theon, I love Theon, but I would love to get him a home. He was actually up on the balcony last night, along with Moosh and Jack, because we had the dog thing. I'll have to do a video just about that, because that is such a good example of how not to do a rescue. Because basically what ended up happening is the dog just got put out on the street. I kid you not. The dog got put out on the street. I don't know what happened to him, but he got put out on the street. And I feel bad because I'm the one that accidentally opened the gate. And he went out. And he was running back and forth, and I tried to get him, but he wouldn't come to me. But she had him running loose again. Well, let me just, while I'm talking about, let me just talk about it. So as far as I can tell, here's the situation. I mean, from what I can gather from all the craziness that went on. So apparently the dog does belong to the goofballs that have Nika. He does belong to them. Now, they do have a history. They should not own animals. They should not. They go through pets like I go through tissues during allergy season. There's been issues. I'm not going to go into it, but there's been issues. Aside from him trapping Abra and keeping her in that trap for 6 to 8 hours or whatever it was, and lying to my face that he had her while it was cold. So the dog, I heard banging outside on the balcony again. And I was like, what the is going on out there? So I went out to look, and I see the dog scoffing down all the cat food, the dry cat food. The dog's been eating all the cat food. The dog ate like 3-4 bowls of cat food. Now, here's the thing. I feel sorry for the dog. I do. I feel sorry for the dog. It's not the dog's fault. I get that. But you have to understand, I'm feeding a colony. I'm feeding indoor. I'm feeding outdoor. I'm living in poverty myself. I'm struggling myself to feed myself as well. And I have it kind of budgeted out how much food I need per month. So when something like that happens, that is something that could have been prevented if someone was responsible, instead of just, I don't know what she was thinking, I get upset. Because that's 3-4 bowls of food. I mean, and we're talking about a decent sized bowl of food. Let me show you. Talking about talking about that size of bowl. I'm not talking about a little tiny cat dish. I'm talking about these are my colony dishes. My friend gave me. She used to have Siberian Huskies, and when they all passed on, she wasn't going to get any more dogs because she's 70 something now, and she's had health issues, and she's like, I'm just going to stick with cats. And she has one horse. She has a horse. She has her horse yet. And she has 2 goats that she's taking, that are her, I think her cousin's nieces or something that she has, because she has a little farmette. So that's what we're talking about. That'll hold like 2 big scoops, like the big scoopers, cat food. About 4 bowls of that dog ate it underneath my car, pulled it out from underneath my car, ate all of their food down there, scared the cats, came up here, ate 2 or 3 bowls that, because I'm like, wow, they were really, other ones must be coming up here and eating. Until I figured out what was going on. He was eating the food because Mrs. Sanford gave him this little, if you saw the other video, you saw his little tiny dish of dog food. This is like a 70-pound dog. Come on. She has a 100-pound pit bull. She knows how much that dog would eat. Just dog running around. So I go out, there's the dog, scoffing down all the food. So I bang on the window and I'm like, hey, get away from there. Get away from there. And then he runs and he's scared. And I went out because I didn't know where Jack was either. So I went out on the porch, and then he goes to the other side of the balcony, and he's standing there growling and barking at me. And I'm like, okay, now how am I going to get down to take care of the cats? Because I have to go down the stairs, and he's basically, at the stairs. I'm going to say he's guarding them, but, he's there. He's scared. And this is what I'm trying to, impress upon all the people involved in this craziness. So I went back in, and it was about 7 o'clock at night. And I texted the program coordinator, because this is permanent support housing. So the person that runs the program, I texted her because her work phone and her personal phone are the same. And I said, look, I apologize for doing this after hours. And she knows that I never bother I never, do that after hours. But I said, Mrs. Sanford has this dog again. The dog is running loose. I can't get out to feed the cats. I can't, it's coming up, it's eating the cat food. It's, he's running around, it's growling, it's barking at people. She needs to have him. I mean, it's if she wants to keep him till the story was that somebody was supposed to come at 4 o'clock yesterday and pick the dog up. Well, obviously that didn't happen. But if she had somebody that was going to come and get the dog, then she should have kept the dog. She should have kept the dog somewhere confined. I mean, she could have put the dog on either put the dog in a room, in her apartment. Because we have, she like the front room, wherever, put the dog in the front room and shut the door. Because there's kind of the apartments, the downstairs apartments are kind of opposite of what we have. So we have the back room, which has a door, and then the kitchen where I'm standing right now, little hallway, bathroom to the side, living room, and then my bedroom's in the front of the apartment. It's kind of flipped downstairs. So their kitchen is when you walk in, and then I think it's like a living room, and then, but, because I've seen my downstairs neighbor's apartment, and the front room does have a door that you can, so put the dog in the front room. Put the dog in the front room. That way you separate that dog from your dog, and, if you want to do this, and this is the thing, if you want to do this, if you want to rescue, this is what you have to do. You have to take precautions. You can't just go pick up an animal and just let it run around loose while it's growling and barking. And I don't understand, so, when I texted the supervisor, she was like, well, I'll call Monday. I'm like, are you kidding me? You'll call her Monday. No, you need to call her now. And you need to get this straightened out, because you have an obligation to your tenants. And this is not going to go, this is going to be a complaint at this point. I feel bad for the dog, but you know what? There are things they knew Friday afternoon, like during business hours, they knew dog on the property, problem. They knew that. They should have come and at least come over and looked at the dog to see what was going on. Instead, they're telling me to call the police. No, it's not me. It's you guys. You guys need to step up. So I'm going to be contacting somebody in that organization. Or I'm going to just go back to human relations. Because this is just unacceptable, the way that this was handled. So the dog's outside. And the dog's like, barking, growling, and looking at me. And I'm like, I yelled at it. I said, like, knock it off, or, go away or something. I forget what I said. Well, that caused him to run down the stairs. So he ran down the stairs, and then I didn't see him. So he ran down the stairs. I didn't see where he went. I went back in. I texted and everything. I came back out. No dog. I'm thinking, okay, no dog. I thought, oh, okay, well, maybe she did. Maybe she did then. Maybe she did contact Mrs. Sanford and tell her, you got to keep the dog under control. You can keep him temporarily, but you got to keep him under control. So, okay. No dog. So, I mean, she has a crate. The thing is that she even has a crate. She has a crate down in, there's a little plastic shed. She has a dog crate in there. I've seen it. She has a big dog crate. Could have put the dog in the crate. Took him in your apartment, put him in the crate. Or you know what? You could have even put him out, could have put him in the crate outside and put a cover over. He'd have been okay. I mean, it did get cold last night. But if she had put like a heavy blanket over it, something, just it's going to be temporary. It was just going to be temporary until the person came. It wasn't going to be like he was going to be there for, it did get cold and windy though. But, I mean, but the point is that the dog needed to be secured for his safety as well as for everyone else's safety. So anyway, come in, I do the text and everything, go back out, take food back out to the cats. Because I'm like, okay, well now I can't put food out for the possum. I can't put Lucy's chicken out. The cats are nobody's going to come on the balcony. Everybody's hiding. So I go out to see what's going on. And I don't see the dog. I don't see the dog. I don't hear the dog. I'm thinking, oh, okay, well maybe, supervisor called and told her that she's got to take the dog and contain the dog. So I walk outside and I go down the stairs. I'm at the door, or the gate, the door of the gate. And I start hearing, I'm like, oh, Jesus. And I look over on the side, and there's the dog standing in the yard, growling and barking at me. I'm like, okay, this is great. Now what do I do? There's nothing. And see, the thing is with dogs, the thing that all the experts will tell you is the way to avoid being attacked by a dog is to get something in between you. Because dogs just somehow spatially, like they can't, most dogs, I mean, I'm sure there's some clever enough to figure it out, but if you can block them somehow, like if you can get behind something that, you can kind of protect yourself. So I was like, okay, what do I do here? And the only thing that I had that could have blocked me and the dog was the gate. So I opened the gate. I slowly opened the gate. and, kind of put it between me and, like, because he wasn't really moving towards me at that point. He was still standing there, but he was growling and barking. And he was like, like how they kind of buddy hop a little bit, inching forward, because he wasn't quite sure. I don't think he was quite sure. Like I said, this whole thing, he wasn't aggressive. He was scared, but scared animals can attack, and scared animals and scared dogs, dogs can bite, and they do. So had the gate there, kind of have the gate between, because I thought worst case scenario, I can maybe get out and shut the gate. So, and then I'll have to come around. And luckily, I think I had my door open, because they're letting the cats run up and down the stairs, since there's nobody living above me right now. So I could have just rung my downstairs neighbor's doorbell and he could have let me in. But what happened was, when I started to open the gate, he started to come towards me. And of course, instinctively, instead of like moving outside, I backed up. And when I backed up, he ran by me and out. So he went out. And of course, I just shut the gate behind him, because I'm like, I'm not going to leave the gate open for him to come running back in until at least I got upstairs. So I'm like, okay, now what? And I'm like, I'm not going down there and knocking on her door. I'm not. That's on her. That's on her. Although maybe I can, I'll go down and when I take food down to the cats, maybe I can get it. Maybe I'll just open the gate at that point. He'll go back in, and then I can just go around the front or something. I was trying to figure out, okay, what's the next move here? Because I don't want to, at this point, I don't want to get involved with her, because she's not, this whole thing was messed up. This whole thing was just a, shite show cluster frick. It just was. And then, I ended up, the dog, the dog kind of like disappeared. I don't know where he went. So like, okay, well, I don't see him. So I took some food down to my cats, put it underneath the car, like shoved it up underneath where the dog couldn't get at it. Put food on top of the hood so that they could get on top of the car and eat, where he couldn't really get on there. And I came back up, and Moosh and Theon and Jack all followed me back up, because I guess they were scared. And then the lady from next door came out, and she said, they ran. She said, "Oh my!" She said, "Did I scare them?" I said, "Yeah, that's just the way it is." But it was so funny, because they all came then, and they looked at her, and Moosh was just like, it was, if I would have loved to have gotten a picture of her, because she just like, this is what she's like. She just kept staring at my neighbor. And it turns out my neighbor's allergic to cats and dogs. So she's in, like, if she came in here, she could never come in this apartment. She would just probably have what do they call it? She'd go into, what is that? Anaphylactic shock. She'd have an attack. She'd have some kind of attack. She probably wouldn't be able to breathe. And I asked her, I said, "Oh no," I said, "is this going to be a problem? Because I don't want you to." And she said, no, it's okay. She said, "Outside, it's okay." She said, "It's just like inside." I said, "Well, I'll try not to stand close to you either." I said, "Because, I do have cat hair and stuff on me." And it turns out that she's kind of afraid of Mrs. Sanford's dog too. But, this whole thing was a mess. And all at once, I'm standing up there talking to my neighbor, and then all at once, Mrs. Sanford storms out of her apartment. She's like, I'm like, oh no, I wonder if the housing supervisor called her. And I thought, I hope they didn't tell her. I hope she did. I hope that because the housing supervisor has done this in the past. They do not respect confidentiality. They'll say, well, Wanda complained about the music, or it's like, you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to tell other tenants who's filing the complaint. That's confidential. Because they know the kind of stuff that happens here. They know that, there are people that, well, I mean, you saw with the other content creator, you saw the kind of bizarre craziness that went on there with no proof whatsoever. I'm going to say no proof, nothing. And by the way, just off topic, so because I guess was subscribed to her for so long, I still from time to time get like suggested videos. And I got this video that she did, or live or something. And the title was, "Where Do I Live in Missouri?" And as much as I don't want to give her a view, I'm kind of like tempted to go over there and look at that one just to see what she says, because if she's actually telling people about her town and where she lives and basically doxing herself, if she does that, she does owe me an apology. She owes Dawn an apology already, but she's going to owe me an apology too. Because if you're going to stand there in front of all your subscribers and tell them where you live, and, and after you had this big freaking meltdown where you told me to pee off and you cursed out my subscribers and everything else, and now you're going to stand there and go, oh, I live in Missouri, and here's where I live, and here's my house, and here's my... Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. Well, you already told people where you lived, so everybody knew it was Columbia. Because you said it in a video. You said it. Other people heard it. I heard it. Other people heard it. I don't remember which video it was, but I do remember you talking about it. I think you talking about it in location to where you were going to work, or that when you went to that football parade or whatever. But yeah, I'm like, wow. It just gets more and more bizarre. I stay away from Pinkland. That's all I just want to do. I'm staying away from Pinkland. So, okay, but anyway, as far as like Mrs. Sanford's concerned, yeah, the dog just was then like just running wild, running loose up and down the alley. I mean, the dog was running, then he came to the gate and he was like looking to get back in, and then he went around, and I thought, why he keeps going around? And then the people from that Habitat for Humanity house, the ones that have Nika, they came out and they started calling his name. And somebody else said, one of their, I guess it's one of his kids. There's a lot of people that live over there. I don't know all the relations and, how everybody's hooked up, but there's kids and grandkids and grandmas and grandpas and aunts and uncles. I mean, there's sisters, everything over there. Like, at one point, there's like 14 people living in that house. But, so these young people came out on the second floor, and they were calling, and one said, well, who let him out? I'm like, yeah, he doesn't. Okay. Number one, if he's your dog, then it's your responsibility to find a home for the dog. If you no longer want the dog, or you can't care for the dog, you need to rehome the dog. That's on you. That's not on anybody else. That's on you. They did that with the kittens too. With Nika's kittens, they gave Mrs. Sanford 2 kittens. And there's going to be an email written to the supervisor, because I've had enough of this. I've just had enough. You know, she doesn't, if she was rescuing legitimately, that would be fine. But this is not okay. And I don't know where the dog is. I don't know what happened to the dog. I feel bad about the dog. You know, I inadvertently let the dog out. But it all falls back to her, because the dog should not have been off leash. The dog should not have been just running wild in the apartment area when he's scared and he's barking and he's growling. I ended up, around, I don't know, it was late. It was like 11 o'clock, 11:30 at night. I finally broke down and I called the police. One thing I did not want to do. I did not want to do. And not just because of the way they treated me with the cats and the other dude with the pit bull. Not just because of that, but because, we saw with that whole scenario with the squirrel and the raccoon and that wildlife sanctuary or whatever, where somebody complained about the squirrel not being, I don't know, whatever I don't remember all the details, but I mean, it's happened before. It happened in Florida. There was a guy who had, what did he have? Boa constrictors? He had some kind of a snake. And in Florida, it was a python or boa. I can't remember which. But anyway, one is illegal to have in Florida because they're invasive. And this guy who was breeding and who bred some really rare snakes, he had said over and over again, he had all the receipts, he had all the documentation that he had gone to Fish and Game or whatever was the ones down there in control of this, and he had told them, look, I have people that I could rehome these, I can get them, but I need permission to like take them over state line or what. And it was just like a bunch of bureaucracy and red tape, and nothing ever happened. And then one day they just showed up at his door, and they basically did to his snakes what animal control in Arkansas would do to Dawn's colony. And just in front of him, they, and not in a very humane way, euthanized these snakes. And one of the snakes that they euthanized was his, and he legally owned the snake, and this snake was very valuable, and her offspring, the babies, were very valuable. This was a very expensive snake that they euthanized. But above and beyond that, it was also a pet. It was also, one of his favorites. And because, they were snakes, I mean, it didn't get the same kind of outpouring and anger that, the cute little squirrel and raccoon got. But the reality is that they will do that. They will. Law enforcement will and have unalived animals, and particularly pit bulls. And so this is the last thing that I wanted to do. But I didn't know what else to do, because the thought of this poor dog running all night in high winds. I mean, Jack didn't even stay up last night. I don't know where he went. He probably went over there. I don't know why he didn't go in the box. I think the box, I found some poop in there. I don't know if the possum pooped in there and there's, it's just kind of maybe smells funny, because I cleaned it out. I don't want to clean it out. I don't want to like completely change out the straw right now, because we're going to have construction. It's supposed to start. It was postponed to next Tuesday. It's supposed to start next Tuesday. Well, then I'm not going to be able, I don't want to change out the straw and then just have to throw it out. I'm not going to waste it, because that, that's another thing that's, I can't just go get a bale of it, because where am I going to store it? So I have to get the little bags from Chewy. Just like that little plastic box, which I think Lucy was in that. She seemed to really, I think she was in there, because she has like half of her butt was hanging out when I went out. When I went out on the balcony. So I think she is sleeping in there. So hopefully, that got her back up on the balcony. But, you know, dogs running. And when I would see the dog, I'd go down and I'd try to get the dog over, and he would just bark and growl at me. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to just open the gate either and let him in, because I don't know. And I just don't want to get involved. I don't want to get in. Those people over there are sketchy. And there's been police involvement and a whole lot of things going on there that I'm not, just don't want to be involved in it. It's one of the reasons why I didn't move downstairs, because I didn't want to be next door to that. And I'm definitely not going to knock on the door of Mrs. Sanford. I'm not going to, it's like, what's worse? The poor dog running loose, or the poor dog being confined. I mean, where was it? And again, it was cold. Even if he was confined, where would he have slept? On the concrete? It was cold. And maybe that's why he was coming over here, because I have like the like Jack's little bed. I mean, it's tiny, the little cat bed. It's tiny. Would have been too small for him, but better than laying on the cold concrete or the cold cement. Where else is he going to go? There's no shelter except under the steps. I mean, he could have laid under the steps. I mean, she just didn't think at all. No thought. No, nothing. None of this was thought out. And it's not like rescuing a kitten or a cat even, where a kitten, I can put a kitten in this crate that I have in the kitchen here. That's easy. A 70-pound pit bull? No, not easy. And that's the thing where people need to understand, when you try to rescue, you have to understand your capacity too. You don't want to put the animal in a worse position than they already are. So when I called the 911, I said over and over again, I said, please let them know the dog is just scared. He's not aggressive. He's not wanting to attack. And I did see them, and then they said, well, do you want to talk to the police? And I said, no, I don't want to talk to the police. I said, I don't want to talk to them ever again. I said, unless I'm being arrested, or it's something like someone is unalived or assaulted or whatever, something, serious like that. I said, but this, no. I'm not talking. Not after the way I was treated. No. And I even debated whether or not to call, for many reasons. That was one of them. But it's really sad. Really sad. I mean, I saw the cop car go down, and I don't know if the other was animal control. I don't know. And see, also now in York, and I know that we did a live on this back when the pink lady, instead of the pink sauce lady, the pink cat lady, when the pink cat lady was still a part, was still a part of this channel to a certain extent. We did a live about that. We did a live about the new policy that York SPCA put in, where you cannot a private citizen can no longer surrender a stray dog. No, you have to call somebody. You have to call the police. You have to call animal control. You have to call, I don't know, there's like three or four different entities that you need to call, and then you have to like meet them, and then you have to and then they have to check you out. I'm like, no, they're checking me out because it's not my dog. I mean, it's easy to prove it's not my dog. That's one thing about renting. It's very easy to prove that I don't have a dog. So I don't know if they found him or not. I hope they found him. I hope that they found him. I hope that they found him. I hope that they got him somewhere safe. And I told them, what I think happened. And I hope that those people are held accountable, because this wasn't okay at all. It wasn't okay at all. But she should not have gotten involved in it. She shouldn't got involved in it, just like she shouldn't be taking kittens from them and rehoming the kittens, because all it's doing is making it easier for them to do that. The cat needs to be spayed. And I'm going to try to get that done. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to talk to Elsbeth. For those of you who are new to the channel, Elsbeth is someone I know who's on our local city council. I knew her before she was on city council. It's not like, I mean, I do know a lot of people because I've done advocacy and volunteer work, but I know her because of, of other things that we were involved with together before she ever became on city council. But she also does TNR. So I'm going to talk to her and see her thoughts on this, and see if maybe, because she's city council, maybe if she wouldn't mind knocking on the door and say, hey, we'll take the cat, we'll spay the cat, we'll find the cat a good home, or else, the cat can stay in Wanda's colony. Because she already said that she said that she'd pay for the spay, but, that's what she said. It's like, it's $20. It's $20. You guys have, you have like 4 or 5 vehicles. I'm trying to think. I think they have at least 4. And 2 of them are big. 2 of them, one is like a diesel truck, like one of those white diesel pickup trucks, and the other one is one of those hybrid SUVs. So yeah, they can definitely rent a trap for $60, because you can rent one, you get your money back, you just need a credit card. I'm sure they have credit cards. Put the cat in the trap, because guess what? You can pick the cat up. If you can pick the cat up, you can stuff the cat in a trap. I got Moosh in a trap. I got Fury in Fury didn't want to go in the carrier. He was okay. He didn't want to go in the carrier when I took him to get his shot, but I got him and I stuffed his fluffy butt in there. You just scruff them and you stick them in. You just scruff and squish. You don't pick them up, obviously, by the scruff. You just hold them by the scruff and squish them down and push them in. They'll go in. Might be a little bit of a battle, but you can do it. And she's small. There's no reason why the cat couldn't be spayed. No reason why the dog had to. Whatever happened to the dog. Because the first time that they got rid of a pet. So I guess that really is the conclusion of the dog saga. Except I don't know what will happen Monday. What they're going to say to her. But I mean, it's sad. It's really sad. I felt so bad for that poor dog running around last night trying to get back in. But he wouldn't come to me. And, when I talked to the 911 operator, he said, just don't approach the dog. Let the dog, he said, we'll try to get the dog. See, and I think we need tougher laws. And the problem is, I'm really on the fence with that, because there are people that have situations like, sometimes people legitimately feel like there's no other option, and people do dump because they feel desperate, because they've tried to take the animal to an SPCA or Humane Society or rescue. Nobody will take it. They can't find a home for it. And then they see somebody like myself or Dawn, and it's like, well, they're taking care of the cats. They seem to care about the cats. I guess if we put Fluffy there, Fluffy will be okay. They don't understand that that's not the best thing for Fluffy. And I would rather they would come to me and say, hey, you know, I have Fluffy here. Can you take Fluffy? Yeah. I mean, and I would probably take Fluffy just so they don't dump the cat, but I can't, you know, and neither can Dawn, and neither can other people that do this kind of stuff. We can't. We're not shelters. We're not rescues. We can't take in every single stray. But it would be nice if people figured out that when you rescue an animal, you are responsible for that animal. I want people to understand that. When you rescue one, you're responsible for them. And if you don't have the capacity to care for them, then you have the responsibility to find somebody that can care for them. I mean, I had to do it with Valentino. I mean, that just worked out really well that Nunya got him. But, you know, I had to do that with Valentino. I'm trying to do that with Jack. I mean, Jack, I think will be okay in the colony, so I'm not overly stressed about Jack. And I have just shut the back door here or shut the door between the kitchen and the back room, and I've let him come into the back room, just like a little bit into the back room to eat, just to see what he would do. So I might, need to see how he goes, and I think I'm going to, because if I might just end up bringing him in for a week or so and treat that infection, because I'm trying to think. I think part of the problem is like he doesn't, and especially with construction coming up, it's like, oh, he's not going to be. So maybe I will try him in the crate. Maybe we will try that, because I can put a cover over it and kind of isolate him from the other cats, or maybe I can put him in the back room. I might be able to figure something out to kind of isolate him in the back room. I'll figure something out for him. I mean, seems to be doing pretty well. He ate two cans of Fancy Feast. I picked up the dish and he was like, any more? He loves that stuff, so I'll have to get him some more. They asked my friend. My friend, for my birthday in September, she got me this. She went to Sam's Club and they have like this case of like 48 cans of seafood Fancy Feast pate. He loves it. He absolutely loves it. So maybe I'll see if I'll have to ask her I don't remember how much it was. I'll have to ask her. Maybe I can give her money and she can go get me some of that. So anyway, so I guess that's it. It's been wild. I don't see him out there now. He's definitely not running around. But she really needs to learn how to be responsible. Because Friday, she just put the dog in the courtyard, shut the gate, and then she went off. She went off in her Sanford mobile for, I don't know how, most of the day, I think. I think she was gone pretty much all day. Dog running around all the time. And she had food down there for him, but he didn't want that. He came up and ate all the cat food. I'm tempted to go down and knock on the door and say, hey, you owe me a bag of cat food, bitch. Because it's your responsibility, not my responsibility. You're the one that wanted to save the dog. What you should have done is she should have called and surrendered the dog so the dog got what he needed. Because I guarantee you, anybody that she's given the dog to is not going to give him what he needs. The dog is not neutered, because I think they were breeding him and the female over there, because the female's not spayed. It's very obvious. You can tell. You just look at her belly and her, she has teats hanging down, and I mean, it's obvious that she's not spayed. I don't know what they're doing over there. I don't know. But nobody's going to look into it because who cares? Just a bunch of animals. So yeah. I guess that's you know, nothing more to say. It's just really frustrating. It's frustrating. So I'm going to end it there, everyone, and I will see you in the next one. So goodbye for meow.